As I'm sure you're all very aware, Mordex is by far the most popular legend in all of Brawlhalla. In fact, it's been that way for over 4 years now, which, might I add, is absolutely insane. But it's probably for the numerous reasons like the amount of tournaments he's won, or the flashy weapons he has, and Sandstorm. Fucking Sandstorm. But regardless of all that, I needed to prove to myself if he's really that great. So I did the only rational thing and decided to play Mordex for a month straight. Just Mordex, nobody else. I'm gonna go insane. Enjoy. Day 1 went as expected. It was honestly really fun to play 2 weapons that allow so much creativity, but I definitely wasn't at the level I wanted to be by the end of this. And also, as a goal for me, I wanted to get my Mordex to level 30 to represent the 30 days I played. But oh boy, I don't think I knew what I was getting myself into. And by day 2, I was already having some trouble, which to be honest, I wasn't expecting this early on, but I was still determined. My main struggles came from specific weapon matchups. One being Spear because it has constant pressure with little downsides. I mean, there's a literal jump with a hitbox. But more surprisingly, Boots actually gave me a really hard time. I think the constant pressure it has really threw me off guard. But as you may have noticed, I mentioned constant pressure was my biggest problem with both of these weapons. So in the next coming days, I realized I had to learn how to play a little bit more passive. Although some struggles on day 2, day 3 rolled around and I started to notice something really weird. I was actually preferring gauntlets over scythe, which was extremely weird to me as I remember always struggling on gauntlets. But maybe just giving them more than 2 games before quitting was what I needed to understand them more. And this was a common theme in the early days. I found out that just giving something a chance, instead of switching as soon as you lose, really made progress skyrocket. For the next 2 days, I decided to do what was frankly long overdue, and that was learning reads. This was by far the most useful day looking back on it now. What I would do is I would go into experimental and document the most common dodge reactions, and then I would practice the counters in the practice range, which let me tell you was greatly needed to take my Mordex to the next level. And although it was a little tedious, the rewards you reap even after just 15 minutes of practice is astronomical. From how successful days 4 to 6 were, I decided to carry on the learning route and really understand all of Mordex signatures. The best way I found for myself was going back to the practice range and looking at each signature's hitboxes frame by frame. Because I won't lie, some signatures can look very deceptive. Like how the hell would I know that Gauntlet Neutral Sig is only active halfway through the jump? Which again was surprisingly helpful because after this I found myself hitting a lot more signatures. Anyways, this day was fantastic and I was really excited for day 8. Alright guys, so my dumbass, 3 a.m., right? I go downstairs, I want a little snack. So I'm just hopping down the stairs. Oops, a misstep, slide down 3 stairs, bam. We're screwed. The pinky is gone. The pinky feels terrible. But the moment of truth, we're still in business. Well, safe to say, I'm an absolute dumbass, but unfortunately I had to spend the rest of the day resting my pinky finger, which sounds absolutely pathetic. After what went down on day 8, I decided I wanted to rest my finger even more just to be at peak performance for the next coming week. But I still wanted to learn, so I decided to watch the godfather of all scythe players, the man who started a cult of Fenrir Mordex mains, Sandstorm. If you don't know Sandstorm, he is by far the best player in all of the game and revolutionized how scythe is played today and makes any level of player look like an absolute robot. So I thought, who better to watch than the man himself? I really wonder how I do against Sandstorm. Like, could I even touch the man? Pause, but like, you know what I mean. Like, he makes these people that are probably like, I'd assume mid-plat, look like they're tin, like they haven't touched the game. This guy, by the way, this guy right here, paid actor for sure. He didn't dodge once. Look, he lets him do whatever he wants to him. Yeah, nah, it's just... That guy has to be a paid actor. Like, look! Nah. Yeah, no. I truly think my decision to rest and get inspired by Daddy Sandstorm. Okay, I'm sorry. I truly think my decision to rest and get inspired was one of my best decisions because on day 10 to 12, I was in absolute flow state. Although on day 12 I was feeling absolutely invincible, I started to notice something that was becoming a really bad habit. That being overextending. With Mordex having two of the best offstage weapons, I used that as an excuse to almost always go offstage. And I mean always, even when I had stage control. And yes, I agree, it's super fun to always go offstage, but it was costing me lots of games that were otherwise extremely winnable. So for day 13, I made it my mission to stay disciplined and always maintain stage control and fight my urges to constantly go off stage. As I was on my improvements arc, I was starting to notice I was also struggling to kill. I would always seem to rack up damage extremely fast, but when it came to actually knocking people out, I was struggling. To the point where my opponent would actually catch up in damage, totally negating the leads I would get. So for the rest of day 14, I focused on kill confirms to make sure my advantages didn't go to waste. Day 15 was surprisingly full of mirror matches, and for me, I usually hate mirror matches. They usually feel awkward and it becomes hard to approach, which I can't lie was somewhat true, but the difference being, instead of approaches feeling awkward, it was more so follow-ups that would just never flow. And I think that comes from the fact that Mordex players know what Mordex players will go for, so I started to go for more unconventional reads, and even switching to a playstyle that focused a lot more on single hits, instead of read-heavy plays, which started to work wonders. We are finally at the halfway point, and I can't lie, I'm super proud of myself because before this, I could never stay consistent to one legend for this long. Plus, I wasn't even hating it. I thought once I reached a week of playtime, I would hit a wall, but I surprisingly didn't, and I think that's mainly because I gave myself a goal every single day to keep things fresh, and with this trajectory, I thought I wouldn't hit a wall for a long time, but boy, was I wrong. All the success and good feelings didn't come without any negatives. As I was facing better players, I started to notice another really bad habit. My approach style was getting way too predictable. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate because I was doing one of the most common mistakes on Scythe. I was constantly approaching with dash jump dare, so as a fix, I fought all my urges and stayed grounded for approaches until I broke my habit and was able to combine both approaches to my playstyle. And overall, it made my playstyle a lot more versatile. So, remember how I said I didn't think I'd hit a wall for a very long time? Well, that didn't last long, because on day 17, I was fighting some absolute demons in the queue, and not being able to switch off characters just amplified my rage, and well, I may have gone a little insane.
Mordex. Mordex.
After my manic episode, it really didn't stop into day 18, and I made a decision I honestly really regret. I broke character. I started to blame all my losses on playing Mordex, and in a weak moment, I switched off for the first time in 17 days. And I hate to say it, but I fucking fried. Although the switch worked, I think it was merely a mental block instead of a character issue, which is why I still regret it to this day. After what happened on day 18, I think I was long overdue for a change of scenery. See, playing 1v1s for 18 days straight was definitely starting to take a toll on me, because if you weren't aware, there is a massive problem with experimental 1v1s because it doesn't really calibrate your rank to your enemy's rank, which makes some days feel like an absolute breeze and others extremely stressful. So for the rest of day 19, I decided to play different game modes, which I'll admit was super refreshing. I mainly played friendly 2v2s to get away from the sweaty 1v1 grinders just for a little bit, and I even played some game modes I had no idea existed and probably shouldn't exist, but you know, maybe there's people that enjoy it, who knows. What's different?
3, 2,
This looks normal.
1, brawl!
Whoa! What the fuck is this? Just play regular 1v1s, like, we're just making it harder on ourselves now, like, why? After all my trials and tribulations, I think everything started to click because I kid you not, for the next 5 days, I was automatic. It felt so rewarding that everything was flowing, and I really felt like I'd learned the ins and outs of Mordex in general. Obviously, I wasn't some grandmaster at Mordex yet, but it honestly felt like it. And just let me have this moment. Well, now that you've seen all the successful clips, I'd like to let you know there are a crazy amount of clips that I just couldn't finish. I found it super easy to find reads, but when it came to extending them, or in most cases finishing them, I would get lost in the middle of nowhere, which kind of put me back in the same situation as my overextending problem, although this time being unintentional. But unfortunately, the hard reality was that I had to slow down. After those 1 or even 2 reads, I was becoming so desperate for those insane 15-hit clips that I ended up hurting myself immensely, which made me realize I had to learn how to analyze my situation, aka when it would be safe to keep going versus when I should get back up to stage. So for the next 2 days, I focused on solely that. Day 28 rolled around, and in an effort to learn as much as possible in these 30 days, I decided to torture myself into learning some very advanced combos. I'm talking grounded D-Light Dare and grounded D-Light Recovery, which, if you weren't aware, are 2 of the most precise and difficult combos in all of Brawlhalla, and I failed a lot. I swear to God, if I do D-Light, N-Light one more time, I'm ending someone's life. Although I obviously hated failing over and over, I was finally able to hit both pretty consistently, which was so satisfying considering the time I sunk into this day. And as a bonus, I taught myself some very impractical but really fun combos to round out the day. I'm gonna be 100% honest, day 29 was the only day I really didn't have a plan, and I didn't know what to work on anymore until I accidentally loaded into the bomb dodge minigame. I'd take a wild guess and estimate about 25% of you guys watching right now had no idea this existed. And to be honest, I kinda forgot about it as well, but I thought it would be a perfect way to practice my reaction time. So, that's what I did. Are you fucking kidding me? If you remember, during the introduction of this video, I was playing a clip of Sandstorm back in 2019. And there's a special reason for that. That is my favorite tournament clip of all time. Back when I was 14 and just getting into Brawlhalla, I watched that set and was amazed how someone could make a platform fighter look that cool. And it's truly what started my love for Brawlhalla, as I realized crazy strings mixed with weapon throws, gravity cancels, and active inputs was what made Brawlhalla unique and really made the game stand out to me. And here I am, 4 years later, still playing the best platform fighter of all time. As you've probably noticed, for the final day, I bought the Mordex skin that started it all for me, and just went for the craziest strings of all time. So for any of you guys wondering, we actually went above and beyond and hit level 31 on Mordex, which is kind of insane. And there was no pain or suffering at all. Haha. With that being said, I hope you guys really enjoyed. This was one hell of a journey for me that genuinely helped me learn, but my god, am I ready to play someone else.